So beautiful to be together with you all. We begin with a question that's come in advance, asked by our family that joins us from online, from all over the world. It's a beautiful gift of technology that we're able to have our beautiful Sangha, our global Sangha joining via social media, via YouTube, via all these different ways online. So they send in questions and we will start with one that comes from them, and then we'll open it up to any questions that anyone here has. There's a microphone right there in the center. So if you have a question, feel free to just come to the microphone and share it with us. I just know that God isn't real, but I come from a family of devotees who believes that He is, and that He even walks amongst us. But how can I believe that any sort of higher power exists when every day there's another natural disaster, another child murdered, another war, another incident of abuse or racism or terrorism in the name of a God that I know doesn't exist? How to believe this? So there's a fundamental confusion in the question, meaning the person who's asked the question is saying, I live in a family of devotees. People believe in God. They even believe that God is here with us. But I see with my eyes every day what's happening in the world. How can God possibly exist? How can I possibly believe in God when I see what's happening in the world? But the fundamental problem and confusion in the eyes of the person who's asked the question is God did not say at any time, you are puppets, you are robots, I am in charge, I'm going to pull your string, you can only do what I make you do. You will have no brain, you will have no mind, you will have no free will. There will be nothing dictating what you do except me pulling the strings of you, my puppets. But God never said that. There's no teaching that says we are puppets. If we were puppets, why would we meditate? Who cares? Puppets don't meditate. If we were puppets or robots, why would our scriptures tell us, do sadhana, do meditation, read scriptures, swadhyaya? Why would they emphasize that? Why would they emphasize listen to katha, dhyan karo, yog karo, smaran karo? Why? If none of it matters, if we have no free will, no power at all, and God is just pulling the strings, to dhyan kyon kare fir? Sit around all day and eat French fries and watch TV, right? I mean, it wouldn't matter. The reason we are told by our scriptures, by the enlightened ones, by the holy people, to meditate, to pray, to read scriptures, to do seva, is because it enables us to have what we call buddhi and shuddhi, intelligence and purity. Sadhana does not bring God. It's not ki मैं बैठ के ध्यान करूंगी और फिर भगवान आएंगे. It's not that. It's like God is there already. But I can't see God because my eyes are clouded. मैं इसलिए ध्यान करती हूँ. To purify my vision. My meditation is not to bring God. My meditation is to purify my vision so I can see God. When we have buddhi and shuddhi, when we meditate, when we really are connected to God, not just using God's name to fight a war, but really connected to God, we would never hurt another being, because we would understand that our beloved is in that being. Imagine you go home today and your mom or your dad or your husband or your wife or your son or your daughter is playing dress up. They're in some kind of a costume. They're dressed up like something else. Let's say that they're dressed up as let's say they're dressed up as Ravan. You go home and your child is in a Ravan costume, okay? Would you try to kill your child? Would you harm your child? Wearing a Ravan costume, think about it for a moment. You go home, your child, in the costume of Ravan. Would you try to kill them or harm them? Anybody? कोई सोच भी सकते? Of course not. क्योंकि हम पहचान लेते हैं, we understand this is my child. Well, that's just a costume of Ravan. In the same way, when we love God, we see in everyone, this is God, this is God, this is God, this is God. They're just in different costumes. And so people who are different colors, different races, different religions, different political parties, different whatever they may be, when we are connected to God, we see all of them as God. And they're just in different costumes in this particular incarnation. This particular scene of the cosmic drama, the Leela. I am playing the role of a white female from America. A Hindu. A sannyasi. It's a role I'm playing. It's a costume. This incarnation, this Leela, last incarnation, next incarnation, who knows what role I will play. We're all just playing roles. And when you are really connected to God, you see God in everyone. You see everyone is God, just playing different roles. So you would never harm anyone. You would never say, oh, you are that other color, or you are that other religion, or you are that other nationality, or you are that other political party, let me harm you. सोच नहीं सकते. You wouldn't even think of it. Like you would never think of harming your child in the Ravan costume. Because you see beyond the costume, you see your child. In the same way, when we really are religious people, we see God in all. We would never harm. There are people, of course, who are committing horrible acts, all kinds of violence and human rights abuses in the name of God. But just because someone takes your name doesn't mean that God doesn't exist. Kabhi ashram mein, somebody will say to me, अच्छा ये वाला व्यक्ति मेरा पास आया, उसने कहा कि साध्वी जी ने ऐसे बोला. मैं कहता हूँ, अरे मैंने तो कभी ऐसे नहीं कहा. या people will say, अच्छा पूज्य स्वामी जी महाराज ने ऐसे कहा, बाद में पता लगाया महाराज जी ने नहीं बोला. क्या होता है कि लोगों को लगता है कि नाम लेके मेरा काम जल्दी हो जाएगा. बस इतनी है. They think कि if they say I've told them to do it, that their work will happen faster, that other people will say, oh, okay, let us do it. But just because someone is misusing Pujya Swamiji's name or misusing my name to get their work done, it doesn't mean we don't exist. Doesn't mean we don't exist. But you see the logic. See, the person who's asked this question says, people fight wars in God's name, they kill people in God's name, therefore God does not exist. But that's like saying, somebody took my name to do something, and therefore I don't exist. It's not logical. It's not logical. Okay, I didn't give them that instruction. I didn't give them that permission. But iska matlab nahi hai, I don't exist. People are using God's name to get their work done. Maybe at the ashram what someone wants is a room, or they want something else. People who are using God's name are using it because what they want is power. They want power, they want land, they want money, they want control. And what they know is that if they say to people, go out there and fight a war for me so that I can have more power, nobody will do it. Nobody's prepared to risk their lives so somebody else can have more power. But if they say, go fight that war because God wants you to. Go fight that war because those people are other. They're different. God hates them. We hate them. And God will reward you if you fight this war. Then they do it. But that's just using God's name in incorrect ways. It doesn't mean God doesn't exist. It means God didn't say those things. It means God doesn't believe those things. It means those things are not true. But it doesn't mean God doesn't exist. So yeah, people have co-opted God's name. But if you look at people who are really religious, not people who are just using God's name to get their work done, but people who are really deeply connected, what you'll see, they never harm. Or at least they never harm on purpose. They try never to harm. They try to heal. They try to share love. And that's the embodiment of true believers. So just because people are doing bad things, or just because people are using their free will to act without buddhi, without shuddhi, without dharma, doesn't mean God doesn't exist. What it means is that God is infinitely patient. Infinitely patient. Because remember, God is eternal. We are in a rush. Today it has to happen. God is eternal. Tika. You wake up this life, you have God realization, self-realization this life, wonderful. You want to waste this life? Okay. God is patient. Maybe you'll wake up next life. Maybe you want to waste next life also. Okay. Take 10 lives, take 20 lives. God is infinitely patient. Because the whole purpose is that we use our free will to meditate, to pray, to serve, to get closer to God, to purify our mind, our intellect, our heart, so that we can experience God within us, and then we can share the divine with all. Beautiful, great question. Other questions? Any question? Yes.
Pranam.
Pranam.
Say, for example, I want to become a doctor. Whom will I talk to? And whom will I take advice and suggestion from? From obviously a doctor, right? I meditate and I understand the importance of meditation, what it does. But why don't we see any enlightened one? If I want to be the enlightened one, I want to talk to the enlightened one, right? If the path is so clear and written in the scriptures, why don't I see any enlightened one? Why should I believe the scriptures? Then I would read the scriptures and become a doctor. It's just more doable, more believable, more motivating if I see an enlightened one. So where are they?
Absolutely. So, two pieces. First of all, they are absolutely here. One of the beautiful blessings of living in India is having enlightened masters in their bodies. I'm not saying they don't exist in other parts of the world. I am sure they do. But the emphasis in India on spiritual practice, the Guru Parampara, is such. Pujya Swamiji is an enlightened master. Absolutely. I've been blessed to be near him for almost 30 years. And I came in as a scientist. And from the beginning, I realized immediately, with a scientist's mind, that I was in the presence of a being who was qualitatively different from any being I had ever been in their presence. And for the last 30 years, all has happened is that has strengthened and strengthened and strengthened. But we have to have open enough hearts to see it. It's like the beautiful teaching that, the sun is shining. It's there. But if our curtains are drawn, we're not going to be able to see it or benefit. We have to be prepared to open our curtains so we can see. And a lot of times our drishti, our vision, especially sadly when we become what I can say is one overeducated person to another overeducated person. Education is great, it's wonderful. The dilemma is, it pulls us so much into our brain that it pulls us out of our hearts and it pulls us out of intuition. And it gives us a box for how to determine truth. And it's typically a box filled with only the tools of science. How much does it weigh? What is its size? What is its volume? Can I see it under a microscope? Can I see it in a telescope? And if not, it doesn't exist. And it keeps us from connecting, from experiencing God, enlightened masters, our own true self, and even love. Because love doesn't fit in that box. And if we are attached to using our five senses or the tools of science to see and know and understand everything that we will deem real, our life becomes very, very, very narrow and very shallow. There are masters. The dilemma is, these days, and this is a relatively new phenomenon. This is just over the last few decades, actually. Since more and more media has come, more and more media, more and more social media, what's happened is there's more and more people kind of pretending to be enlightened masters. And so what we've got is a bit of an onslaught of people with platforms, guru this, guru that, enlightened this, enlightened that, master this, master that. And there's nobody to say, you can say this or you can't. Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, they're not asking for some sort of certificate of, enlightenment before you get to call yourself guru or master on your profile. So we've got this kind of onslaught of people trying to grab our attention, claiming to be masters. That doesn't mean that there are not real masters. It just means that there's a lot more noise than there used to be. And we need to learn how to find truth amidst the noise, to not be distracted by the noise, and to enable our inner intuition, which is a very different ability than that which scrolls online. But an inner intuition to feel that and to know that. And the other thing is that a lot of the masters are, the word guru, which means the one who brings the light, removes the darkness and brings the light. They're not shining the light on themselves. They're shining a light on us. People mistakenly think that the guru is the one with the lights on himself or herself. But that's not what the light, when we speak about the light of the guru, it's not the spotlight that the guru is shining on themselves, it's the light of ourself that the guru enables us to see. So if you're looking for someone with bright spotlights on, you may find yourself with someone who's, bought a lot of spotlights but isn't exactly what you're looking for. And instead, if you allow your heart to open, your intuition to deepen, you'll find them. Absolutely. Absolutely. Because they're here today, they've existed throughout history. By God's grace, technology now has given us, we've also got the opportunity these days to sort of sit with masters who are no longer in their bodies, but left behind libraries of written word, spoken word, recorded word. So there's actually the opportunity, in addition to the ones who are in their bodies, to also be in the energetic presence of those through technology who have left their bodies. So it's there if you look for it. Yeah, other questions? Yes.
Pranam, Sadhviji. I am doctor. So, it answers what is the ego and what is the easiest way to defeat its ego and what is the best medicine to defeat it or win to the ego.
Beautiful. Beautiful. So, first of all, recognize the ego is not evil. We speak about defeating it, annihilating it, conquering it. And the problem with that is it creates a battleground inside of ourselves. And as I always say, the problem with that is, regardless of who wins, at the end of the day, you're going to sleep with the loser. Because it's all in you. It's all in you. It's not like you defeat the ego so the ego, gets a room in a hotel for the night and you're free. It's there. It's there in its wounded, defeated, upset mood. And And remember, when you say in your mind, today's the day I'm going to annihilate my ego, who's listening? The ego's listening. It's all there. The ego's hearing you say, today I'm going to annihilate the ego. Right? Instead, understand the ego. Understand that it was formed actually in our best interest. The ego forms when we're young, when we're children. It's actually very important. The ego is that which enables us to understand who we are in the world. To understand the importance of sharing and caring and helping and being compassionate. If we didn't have an ego, there's no place that you end and other people begin. So every time that you tell your children, don't eat all your brother's cookies. Well, if the child didn't have an ego, my cookies, his cookies, it's all one. It's just cookies. Like, why can't I eat them all? But it's actually the ego formation that enables children to understand, oh, this is my plate of cookies. This is my brother's plate of cookies. I'm not allowed to reach over here and grab them. Or, oh, my brother is playing with a truck right now. I can't grab it. That's his truck, not my truck. That me, mine, I is actually really beneficial when we are growing up. It's what teaches us how to live in society. But then what happens as we grow is that I, me, mine keeps us from opening our hearts, keeps us from understanding the truth of who we are as spirit. So we look at the ego, we see the ego, and all we do is we take the steering wheel of the car of our life out of the hands of the ego. You don't have to kill it. You don't have to annihilate it. All you have to do is stop letting it run the show. Understand that the ego is a very bad driver. It gets you into accidents all the time. It runs over other people. It hurts them. It hurts you. The car gets damaged over and over again. You waste a lot of time and a lot of money getting the car repaired. It's a very bad driver of the car of your life. Take the steering wheel out of its hands and put it in the hands of your higher self. Because if the ego is not going to drive, who's going to drive? Somebody's got to drive the car. So this is where we work on cultivating a connection with our higher self, where we say, okay, God, you drive my car. Let me be just an instrument in your hands. You drive. I surrender to you, oh Krishna, oh Ram, oh Shivji, whatever it is. You drive the car of my life. And so you take the steering wheel out of the ego's hands, not forcibly, don't kill it, just say, thank you so much. Thank you so much for your beautiful seva of driving the car to date. You've harmed other people, you've harmed me, you've ruined cars, enough is enough. Now you get to sit in the back seat. You can be here, no problem, but you get to sit in the back seat. You're not in charge. And slowly what'll happen is the ego becomes kind of like an annoying but also kind of beloved member of the family who just won't shut up, right? I mean, all big families have one. There's someone in the family who inevitably at family gatherings just doesn't really know how to control themselves. They say things that insult other people. They butt into things that is none of their business. They're rude. They're kind of show-offy. They try to take control of things. But you don't kill them. You don't lock them out of the house. You just say, yeah, yeah, Uncle Joe, it's okay, yeah, 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 yeah. And you don't pay much attention. You continue on with your other conversations with the other family members. You're cooking the meal, you're doing what you do. And Uncle Joe is sitting on the couch or in the chair just, yammering away, doing his thing, being negative, being arrogant, being judgmental. And you just see him, you understand, yeah, Uncle Joe is like that. But you'd never put him in charge. You'd never give him a microphone. You'd never set him up for a social media account. You'd never introduce him to your friends or neighbors. Because you know he's going to make a mess of things. He's just going to insult people. So you keep him as a member of your family. You don't excommunicate him. But you just make sure that the sphere of his influence is only about as big as the couch that he's sitting on. And that he doesn't have the ability to have more influence. And that's how you deal with the ego. Is you take the control out of the ego's hands. No, I will not say that. No, I will not do that. Just because you're yammering away at me. No, I won't do it. Yes, Uncle Joe, I know you want us to go over and, give the neighbors a piece of our mind, but no, they're our friends. It's okay their dog is barking. It's okay their kid is playing outside, no problem. So you just learn to have that power of discrimination. To hear the voice of the ego, but not listen to it, not go along with it, not give in to it. And slowly, 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 when that voice realizes that it's not being given the control and the power, it becomes much more quiet, much more quiet, much more quiet. So just treat it in that way and give all of that power to your higher conscious self, to the divine self. Is what I'm about to say and do in alignment with Dharma? Is it in alignment with what I've been taught, what I believe, what I know? If yes, do it. If no, don't. Your higher self, your conscious self, has full control. Just keep that steering wheel out of the hands of the ego. Beautiful. Have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your evening, everyone. I look so forward to seeing you all again tomorrow and being together again tomorrow. And so much love.